are. It's your turn. Andersen is here! All right, welcome panel. We have the biggest crowd we've ever had, so thank you so much for coming out to the Vikings panel. It's a fantastic show! One of the top radio shows. So have a seat, everybody. We'll get started. Lexi! I have to tell you, this cast loves coming here. We were talking before the panel, and they are so excited to see you. They really are. So, Michael, I want to start with you. As you guys know, as you fans know, that mid-season 5 finale had a really interesting story structure. The storytelling was just fascinating with all the flashbacks. So, Michael, why did you decide to use that structure for that episode? Why did that work for you?
First of all, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. Loving the show, for supporting the show. It means everything to me. What we try and do is to make every battle different, innovative. So each time I get to the point in the narrative when there's going to be a battle, I think very seriously about how to stage it. In as truthful a way as possible. And we've done many things, so sometimes, you know, it takes more than 5 minutes to work that out, but I'm aware that battles are collective endeavors, but each person in a battle, each warrior or shield maiden, has different experiences. They experience the battle in a totally different way. And I thought, okay, so I'll choose 5 or 6 of the major players, and we'll see the battle from their individual viewpoints, which may involve flashbacks to because they're all they're in the space between life and death. So their experiences are very intense, and so there were flashbacks in some cases. There was a lot of emotional stuff going on because brother was fighting brother, lover was fighting lover. So I was able, by that kind of structure, I was able to explore that more and make the battle subjective. And I was pleased to do that. The director was wonderful and absolutely realised that vision. I did, at one stage I got I was talking to one of the executives, and I was actually quite pleased with the script. And I said, have you read 10? Have you read the script? And the answer was, well, I've tried, but it keeps coming out wrong in the printer because it keeps going back to the beginning. But that you know, I think it's a great episode, and it says something. It's, you know, we do try to be as authentic as we can be. So to put you, the audience, into the middle of a battle was very important. It's like, how would you feel if your life was completely on the line? So that's what I was trying to do.
Well, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was a great episode. Made us want a lot more. Katheryn, that was a very intense episode for you, but I wanted to ask you, Lagertha has a new love and a new ally. Bishop Haymond, the sinning bishop. What draws her to him?
Well, first of all, I think this is our biggest room yet. So thank you. I swear to God, I think we have the best Vikings fans, the best fans in the entire world. To answer your question, yes, so season 5B, Lagertha has a new love interest. Not only, if you recall, the end of 5A, the very last shot of Lagertha, she is completely in shell shock, and so much that her actually hair turned gray. So you will see a new look from Lagertha. And also, Bishop Hackman is played by Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, I'm sure you all know. And it was interesting because I remember sitting down with Michael thinking, what kind of, you know, she's had a lot of lovers and she had to kill them and get rid of them. So I was thinking, who at this stage would be, like, who would get Lagertha's interest? It has to be somebody who not only she's attracted to, but respects. And I think she's in a place in her life where it's a lot to do with an intellectual bond and having a philosophical common ground. And I think Bishop Hackman has that as well. And also, he's a warrior.
He just fills the gap until Rollo gets back.
Hey, you do know that. Anyway, so yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and she, I thought it was interesting that she said, you know, if now I can die after they kiss. It seems just to show such a bond between them.
Lagertha's been through so much in the last 5 seasons, from losing multiple children through miscarriages and Ragnar betraying her and having a kingdom, and now she has this little hip squeak that she has to deal with. But do not worry, she's definitely going to challenge him in some way.
Okay. I think they see something similar in each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous, but it's something you can't walk away from. So from the very beginning, it's a very dangerous relationship. And who would expect anything else from Lagertha, basically?
That's right, sure. Well, someone can't really walk away from the Vikings, and that's Rollo. We're not really sure what side he's on. I think there's a little mystery there. Clive, Rollo's back with the French troops. Is he truly loyal to Ivar now, or will he side with Lagertha?
Yeah, Clive, where's your partner? Where's Rollo's?
Which one? Yeah.
Why don't we ask you guys, whose side should Rollo be on? With Rollo, I think it's fair to say that every time Michael writes for Rollo, whatever you expect him to do, he usually does the opposite. So I can't tell you why he's back, but I think it's fair to say that he's back for Team Rollo. So whatever you can have deciphered from that comment, I mean, nothing is ever as it seems, and he's now a ruler of his own country, Normandy, and he has his own people to think of, and he also put those people first. So there's obviously business, there's politics involved in why he's coming back. And I think Ivor promised him something, which whether he can deliver on or not, you'll see very soon. And
he looks very secretive.
And I think this little guy here is as fearsome, he's terrifying, and he has all of his brothers running wild, but he hasn't had to deal with Uncle Rollo yet. I'll teach him a few things.
Well, Alexander, you learned a few things from Uncle Rollo at a certain point. But in this recent battle with Ivar, Bjorn really lost a lot. I mean, he lost his son with Torvi, he lost his second wife, his Sami wife. Will his grief destroy him, or will it strengthen him?
Yeah, I just want to kind of go off of what Katheryn said. You guys are just unbelievable. So thank you all so much. So grateful for each and every one of you, and this is just unbelievable. In terms of Bjorn's character, this next season coming up, you're going to see a huge shift in him. You're going to see a very big dark side to Bjorn, but also I think through that you're going to see him become a leader in every single way. So it's a very, very exciting time for him, and he really takes on a paternal role as well. And you're going to find out some things about him that maybe you suspected but never really knew until the season. So it'll be exciting.
Well, I do want to follow up, Alexander. Bjorn's been on quite a journey since the last time we were here. And I'm wondering what stands out for you. Let's review. He went through some unintended cannibalism. He was in a crazy sandstorm. And then his first sign of love with his second wife, well, there was a little reindeer castration story that he had to hear before they actually went to bed together. Which one of those was the most interesting to you or most difficult to film?
I always wonder how much of this inspiration comes from Michael's real life. But it was a really fun scene to play. All of them were really interesting. Getting to film in Morocco was incredible. But I forgot what you just asked.
Can we talk about the...
Writers use their imagination.
So, Michael, have you researched kind of the Sami sex life? Is that how you found out about this?
Absolutely.
It was a pretty threatening first time for those two.
You know, there's one thing about this show is that you don't have to make things up because the reality is extraordinary enough. I couldn't make up that stuff, literally. Without being sent to an institution, but
Okay.
And Dagny, who played Snape Free, did such an amazing job in that scene. She was so much fun to play with and to really kind of vibe off of. A scene like that can be really nerve-wracking for some people, and I think that she just came in willing to just give it her all. So it was a really, really fun one to get to play around with, and
And we rarely see Bjorn look that scared.
Or vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a rare thing to see you that way.
That's how I look in my normal relationship every single day.
Well, Georgia, again, I want to welcome you to your first Comic-Con. Well, how are you feeling about this guy next to you right now after what happened between the two of you and your marriage?
Well, this is the first time I've seen you since you dumped me. So you feel great, but I'm dating your brother now, so...
I just think you deserve better.
Oh.
This is hard.
Yes.
Yeah, this is hard. So, well, you are with, Torbe's with Ube now.
Yeah.
Is that true love?
I think the difficulty with Bjorn and Torby's relationship was that Bjorn was never really satisfied. I think from Torby's perspective, he just only really loved his mum, and he never really...
Aww.
I think it's true. I think
Mama's boy.
I never think he was satisfied. So I think Torby felt a real sense that she wasn't enough. And Ube really comes along at a time where she's vulnerable. She needs someone to be there and support her, and it comes from a real genuine place. And they say when you're not looking for love, you find it. And I think he just came at the right time, and I think they have found genuine love. But if it wasn't for the end of, if it wasn't for Bjorn dumping me, then I think she wouldn't probably have moved on with his brother.
Well, luckily these Vikings have big families, so you have other options for the future as
If
well.
that doesn't work out, we can talk.
Yeah. I can see that. Who can see that? I can see that. Okay, well, Alex, you
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have catechets. You've got a lot to offer, lady.
Yeah.
What's next on Ivar's agenda?
Wow, yeah. First of all, no pressure in terms of Kattegat, because everybody who ruled Kattegat lost it, so I have no idea what's going to happen. I do, but I'm not going to tell you. I mean, yeah, well, big plans. Let's make a guy who can't control himself control an entire population and city, and yeah, so it's going to go very well, definitely. And on top of that, Lagertha just stole Ivar's lover, friend and Bishop Hickman, so, I mean, he's in a bad place, and he didn't even get to kill Lagertha. He's mad. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, Lagertha's still alive, and she killed his mother, so is he still out?
She had to go, right? Hey, she took away Ragnar.
Well, another thing, Alex, your character is getting a lot stronger. We see him standing up now. He's got the help of those braces and crutches. What's it like for you as an actor? What's the acting challenge to transition into that?
Well, I thought that life was going to be a lot easier when I got the chance to stand up. The calibers, as we call them, that I'm wearing are just a teeny tiny bit heavy. So, it hasn't been easier. I'm all twisted after 10 hours of wearing those, because the moment you get into them, it takes a little bit of time to get out of them as well, so we just keep them on for 10 hours straight, and I can't quite bend my legs, so if I look retarded, it's because I am. So no offense. But, yeah.
How much do they weigh?
I don't know, what is that, 35 pounds? What is that, 20, 25, no, yeah, 20, 25 kilos or something like that, I think.
And I will say that, you know, Alex is never on set. He has a lot of physicality that he has to do, obviously, playing Ivar, but he always has a smile on his face. He never complains. He's such a trooper and such a professional actor. So,
thank you.
And super talented.
Every single time it's a challenge, and it's hard work. That's when it gets fun. I mean, I was, sorry Michael, a little tired of sitting down and just talking a lot of the time. So it's fun, as weird as it sounds. It's fun to crawl through horse shit. But it's great fun. It's great fun, and it's a great character. And Michael has done such a great job spoiling me with a phenomenal character. So, and a great storyline. So, a lot of things coming up in 5B. Don't be too hard on him.
Well, Michael, you are really good at changing it up for your characters. You know, they do not stay the same. Everybody gets a new story, a new challenge. And someone we sadly don't have here this year is Gustav Skarsgård, who plays Floki. We miss him, right, you guys? But I wanted to ask you, Michael, why did Floki betray Lagertha and take his people to such a bleak place?
Floki had had enough. He'd lost everyone that he loved. His wife, his child, his best friend, Ragnar. He was fed up with the compromises that it was taking his people to survive. And he, as we know, he's a pagan fundamentalist. And he felt that, like some others, I guess, he felt that he wanted to escape. He wanted to, if possible, found or go to a holy place, a place that wasn't compromised, a spiritual place. He wanted to live a spiritual life. He submitted to the gods, putting himself in an open boat. And if the gods meant him to survive, then he'd survive, and wherever they took him would be a holy place. So that's what he truly believes. And then having found somewhere, whatever it looked like on the outside, it was for him a holy place, and he felt selfish not sharing it with like-minded pagans, and that's why. So he's not deliberately taking people into somewhere that's absolutely terrible and grotesque and horrible. He's taking them to somewhere where he thinks they can live true, free spiritual lives.
Any hint about what might happen next with this story?
Oh, stuff happens.
Well, stuff's been happening with everybody, and Katheryn, I don't know if you guys know this, but Katheryn has taken on an additional role in Vikings. She has stepped to the other side of the camera, so she directs an episode that you'll see in season 6, so it'll be a while. But Katheryn, I wanted to hear from you about what that was like.
Oh, wow. Incredible. To sum it up in one word, to be on a show from day one and getting a chance to work with Michael, because he's such a collaborative writer with talent and actors, that you sit down, you talk about your character, and to be now on the other side of the camera and see it not only as just your own storyline, the story that you have to tell as an actor, but to tell it as a full piece, a full episode, and every character has their own storyline, own journey, and how to put it all together. But I will tell you this was the most challenging thing I've ever done, yet the most rewarding. And one of my favorite things is to get a chance, because my fellow co-stars are my friends, and to know about their lives and getting a chance to sit down with them beforehand and ask them what else that they want to bring to their character, or where they're thinking, and having that collaborative process and having that dialogue as an actor. I think it actually really created, for me at least, a very rewarding environment to be able to be in there and getting the performances that I think, well, I know I'm proud of.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
And I'll tell you, and the crew members, I was nervous. Obviously, this is Vikings. It's such a big show, and it's shooting in the middle of winter when we only have 8 hours a day of daylight. So we were starting, I was up at 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, and starting at the crack of light, and had to be finished early. And it's challenging because of the rain and the sun, and sometimes both, and multiple times a day. But yet the crew members all had my back and helped me through every aspect of, we had some snow scenes, and then we're like, okay, well, we're running out of time, let's do this. And I think you guys, I hope you guys will love it, and I'm excited for you guys to see it.
Yes, totally excited, so glad you're doing that.
Because we have a very male-dominated crew, and it's an amazing crew. Everybody is amazing. They work so hard. But for Katheryn to come in and do what she did was simply inspiring, and she is beyond talented as a director. And it was such an honor to get to work with you for that episode. And I just wanted to say a huge congratulations, and I love you.
Yay. Well, talk about tough shooting scenes. I mean, Clive, you've had a lot of action in Vikings as far as your battle scenes, your fighting scenes, and we've talked before about how you've gotten beaten and scarred. And I'm wondering, now that you're back, your character's in a much, sort of like more elevated role. Are you looking forward to maybe doing some more fighting?
It's an interesting question, because he's at a stage of his life, he's older now. Your body doesn't quite work as we want it to work, and Michael, you got this coming up. There's a speech that Michael gave me, which talks about how once you've been known for one thing, you're a warrior, and that's all you know. And when you miss that and you can't do that anymore, how that feels, how that affects your life. He's at a different place in his life. He's just as there's just as many things that are tearing him apart. May not be axes and things on the battlefield, but he's at that age where you start to think about death. You start to think about your own mortality and where you're going afterwards, and if there are gods, or if there is one god, and how do you appease them, and where are you going to end up. And there's this brilliant phrase in one of the sagas from Iceland, which is, "Bare is the back that hath no brother." And that was, now Ragnar's gone. What has he got? He's got no one. He's got his people. He's got Gisla, but he hasn't. He's got some unfinished business to do with his family. And Michael and I talked, and when Travis left the show and Ragnar left the show, Rollo's storyline was very much entwined with Ragnar, and it kind of didn't feel like, the show is called Vikings. We can't stay in Paris or Rouen, or it's not called the Frankish. So there's only so much Rollo can do. I mean, it could be called the Normans. It's a spin-off. It's a good one. But we had to bring Rollo back for the right reason, and it's. These two people either side of me is the one connection to Kattegat he still has. And also, Rollo didn't kill his brother. Other brothers did kill brothers. And then the other king killed his brother. And you guys give me a hard time for 4 seasons. Just wanted to point that out. So it's that is still there. I let my brother go. So yeah, there's a lot at play, and this is a man that's, it's another reinvention of Rollo, which is this is why this man's writing excites me all the time, because every time I kind of get to an end of a season and go, oh, this is as far as this character can go, he smashes him into pieces, and I have to rebuild him over a season, and this is another chance for that.
Well, Clive mentioned that you guys have given him a hard time. So, because we have such a big room and we have so many fans, we're actually going to turn it over to the Q&A so you guys can give anybody you want a hard time. We'll give you a little extra time for fan questions this year. So, if our first fan is ready, we'll take a question for the panel. Here we go, right here in the spotlight. If you could just tell us your name, we'd love to know your name.
Hi, my name's Greg. My question's for Clive and Michael mainly. So you brought up the fact that Alexander and Katheryn are your only family members, but in the first half of the season, you backed Ivar with at least your troops. So I guess the question is, why? And does Rollo still love Lagertha?
Ooh.
Oh.
Good man, just like spoilers. Do you want to get first? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think he probably does. These sentiments are very deep and abiding. But Rollo's in a different place now. He's in charge of basically a nascent country, and so he's got people to think about, and so as Clive said, there's a lot of politics involved, other real politics, and so people make choices in what they consider to be their interests, even if those interests cut across things that in the past they've done or said or believed.
Okay.
And then there was a moment, if you remember, that when Ludwig made the deal with Rollo, there was a specific request made about a certain nephew. So, in order to get the politics out of the way and come and see Ivar, it gives him an opportunity to actually be in Kattegat as the ruler he is and be able to be closer to the people he probably really needs to talk to.
Ah, interesting. Okay. All right. Hi. How you doing?
Hi. My name is Lauren, and my question is about the old languages like Saxon or an old version of French that you have to speak on the show. How challenging is it to learn those lines, and do you know exactly what you're saying when you say it?
I can start, Alex. Yeah. It's extremely challenging because it's Old Norse and it's to do with the Icelandic, so we can't just make it up. It takes, especially the sacrifices scenes when you're doing a story, and not even that, talking about either a saga. it's very important to get the dialogue right, because there are fans, like we can probably add fans that listen and know every word. So it's just it's definitely a challenge. Sometimes I'm like burger, like, just trying to make it make sense in your head. But I think through a lot of repetition, you eventually get it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand, you know, that's the crazy part about what you're, like the actual words that you're saying. If you really don't understand what you're trying to convey to the other character, so that is a big part of it. So in a way, you kind of get to learn that part of the language. I mean, in that sentence, obviously, I don't think any of us are fluent in Old Norse, but you know, it's really cool. That part of the show that I love to do, and they talk to Michael. You can correct me if I'm wrong. We talk to like professors and whatnot to make sure that we get.
Yeah, it's a very important part of the show, and it's very important to me that the show is as authentic as it can be. So what we do is, if we go to France, we need to know how the Franks used to speak, or the Sami peoples, or whatever it is. So I contact my historical advisor, let's send them the script, and he has a kind of bank of academics, a lot of them at Cambridge University, who spend a long time researching themselves and developing and building up, rebuilding really, languages that in some cases haven't been heard for hundreds and hundreds of years. This is the first time some of these languages have been heard by anyone for hundreds of years, and the academics are very excited about this, and they even argue eventually about, if they're doing some Anglo-Saxon, what part of the country is this, is there a local intonation or a local dialect of Anglo-Saxon. One of the most exciting things that I've done recently is I wanted one character to speak words that were the basis of all language. And I sent that to my historical advisor, and that's a nice test. And he got together with these academics, and they did it. They worked out what probably the original, the mother of all languages was. And they recorded some words in that mother of all languages. And when you hear these words, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. So just think the first human language. It's absolutely incredible. But that's actually the depths we go to on the show. That's what we're prepared to do. We're prepared to get it right. And it's a very exciting part of the show. So you can be assured that when you're hearing those words, that is what they actually sounded like. That is what the language actually is.
And then historical accuracy is why we love this show so much.
Hi, my name is Anthony. Thank you so much for being here. I come from France to see you all.
Wow, thank you.
My roommate and I are deeply in love with Lagertha, so my question is for Katheryn. We want to know if and how the role of Lagertha helped you and inspired you in your life as an actress and as a woman, into more generally.
Oh wow! Well, thank you for coming from France. All around the world. To answer your question, wow, it's Lagertha has been such a part of me for now 6 years, that, and living in Ireland and getting a chance to really dig into my character on every single episode only brought me closer to her. She's definitely surprised me and has taught me many things as Katheryn. But if I had to probably sum it up, she's a fighter, not just physically, but she also emotionally. She will never back down to anyone, and she will always do what she feels is right. And she's fierce. She's fierce. And I feel like, especially now in this time that we're living with the whole Time's Up movement, I couldn't be more proud to portray such a character that Michael has so amazingly crafted, and especially in a time right now where there's a lack of strong female role models, and to have a character that I know a lot of people around the world have associated with her and have looked up to her, and I just hope inspires other young girls to fight for what they believe in and to go after exactly what they want.
More strong women! Hi!
Nice look! Yeah! The hair!
Hi, my name is Vegeta. I wanted to single out some people and say you're badass, but you guys were all so cool and everyone's so great, I can't really single anyone out. I do want to say, Katheryn, I think you'd make an amazing Black Canary. My question is for Michael. Because Floki isn't here, my question would have been for Gustav, but Floki has always had hatred for everyone who wasn't pagan and believed in false gods, so far as to kill the Christian priests. Why did he not want to slaughter the Muslims? What was his psyche there?
He felt something when he went into their place of worship, where there was no iconography, there were no sculptures of the gods. He was absolutely thrown by that. And he felt he was in a different space, and I think he felt he was in a genuinely spiritual space without, of course, any kind of intellectual understanding of that. And it would have been so easy for me to write the scene that he went into that space, and just because he's a Viking, he kills everyone, which is what most of the other Vikings might have done. If Floki hadn't got there first, that would almost inevitably have been the consequence. But for me, Floki is first and foremost a spiritual creature rather than a pagan. He's someone who I think can sense, as you will see in the second part of the season in Iceland, someone who is very aware of his surroundings in a spiritual sense. So it made sense for me to mark a difference in his attitude to that group of Muslims praying to gods that he couldn't see. As I say, I think it would have been sort of crass of me just to not distinguish his response to them.
Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name's Joe. This is my daughter Gigi. Alexander Ludwig, you were the highlight of our convention last year when we got to say hi to you.
And I can say hi to you again. What's up?
She's a little too nervous to ask her questions. I'm going to do it for her.
Hey, how you doing?
She wanted to know how much of your own stunts on the show do you do?
We have an incredible stunt team on the show, and as much as I'd like to say that I do all my own stunts, there's some that they just simply won't let me do. Like there was this one fall where you think that I get shot by Georgia, Torby, and with an arrow, and I fell off this boat like 20 feet into the water. I was like, God, I really want to do that. I kept asking them, come on, just let me do it, let me do it. They're like, Alexander, there's no way we are letting you do this. So we had one of our amazing stunties go up there. So we have an incredible group of that. But I will say that when we do go into the fight scenes and we're in it, like, I mean, shit happens, and like we all just end up going at it. Everybody's just screaming and hitting the person to your left and to your right, because you don't know what's happening, and the camera's just trying to pick up everything. So it does get pretty crazy. I mean, you do leave at times with, cuts and bruises and whatever, but but we got an amazing stunt team. Yeah. Good to see you again.
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? My name is Antonio. I'm from Mexico. And a show like this pushes the community that follows it to interiorize a subject that's very important for many of us, and that's gender equality. How does portraying such a strong character like all of you do, both men and women alike, bleed into your off-screen persona?
That's deep.
I've noticed that Alex likes to crawl everywhere now.
Yeah, I was cheating when I walked in. I'm so sorry. You should have seen me backstage. Oh my God, here we go again. Well, I feel like I have to answer the question now. My chin.
I think it's also important to say that as much as, we love our portray the characters we portray, we also have so much fun doing it. And we get along great, we're great castmates, and to get a chance to, when you're dealing with such intense scenes sometimes, and when Michael puts us through the ringer, it's nice to go out for dinners and relax. And I think it's important to have that balance. So otherwise you're living in your character actor for so long, and it's hard to shake it off. And I think it's important to have that friendship to be able to create a good working environment on screen and off.
But also, in a sense, you're talking about the people that they're playing, that they're representing. The Vikings, the whole point of the show is it's contradicting a lot of the cliches that we have about Vikings. That they were nasty, brutal, ignorant, murdering swine. That's just the start of it. What I found in initial research was that they were, in many cases, not like that at all. That they were, in their attitude towards women, they were much more enlightened than Christian communities at the time, and actually probably much more enlightened than some of us are now. And women, as I've often said, women were allowed to rule, to divorce their husbands, to buy property, and many other things that were actually lost later when the countries in Scandinavia became Christian. So there's a lot we need to revise about our attitude towards Vikings, and so this sort of independence of spirit and respect for one another is basic to the culture, and so it's basic to the show. And these guys are just wonderful at showing it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lagatha, season 10. Once a warrior, always a warrior. So my question is for the actors. I think at least a couple of decades must have passed, and yet you all are only 5 years older. How do you deal, being in my 60s, how do you deal with your aging bodies as characters when you're still all very young?
I think that's one of the best parts of being in the show, is that usually in a show when you cover so many years is that they recast an actor. They can have a 60-year-old actor playing Rollo in his later life, and this has been part of the acting challenge for all of us, is that we get to play. I mean, when I first came into the show, Rollo was 32, something like that, and by the end of it, he's in his 60s, so you're getting to play a character over such a massive character arc, and you're dealing with, like I talked about when you see Rollo when he comes back, there's things he can't do anymore. He's dealing with lots of different things physically, and it's such an amazing challenge and such a journey to go on, rather than just to hand the reins over to another actor. And it's been really special, the whole journey of being in this show over the seasons.
And I'm going to add to that too, where with Lagatha, she's been there, obviously started off as a young farmer to queen, where she's at now. And as the seasons continue to growing, and you will see a physical change from her. Not only physically, mentally, you will see that she is in a different place. And as an actress, I'll be honest with you, it's one of those things, personally, if I'm going to be 100% honest, it's slightly challenging to let go and allow yourself to play older, unfortunately, just because you have that fear sometimes that you have to always look good as a female actress. But I'll tell you one thing, in season 6 especially, I've definitely embraced it, and I've allowed myself, and I spent a good 3 hours a day in prosthetics to allow Lagatha to change, and I hope you guys will enjoy it and embrace it.
And most of the credit actually goes to our amazing hair and makeup team who have just
got nominated!
That was a makeup all, love you, Tom!
Hi.
Hello, my name is Rolando. I want to say I love you guys and I love your work, and especially Michael for creating those amazing characters. My question is a very stupid question that came drinking with my friends. So, if you were to be in a parallel universe and you were your characters, like, which character would you pick to have an epic one-on-one battle from the Game of Thrones universe? Don't be shy.
What? I pick a 5 trying to choose one as well.
Dragon?
I would love to ride a dragon. Probably a dragon that's going to ride me, but...
I'd take out Jamie Andersen.
I gotta catch up on my Game of Thrones.
Okay, so Jamie's going down. Anybody else?
What was that show you mentioned?
Okay, thank you so much. Hi.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I want to know how closely you follow the history of the show, and is Ivar's character going to found Dublin?
Michael?
Well, I'm not going to tell you. But we do know, I mean, as in the case of most of these great characters who emerge, like Ragnar, who emerge from the realms of myth and, there's always some suggestion that they might not have been real. I believe myself, and there's enough evidence that there was a real Ragnar and his sons, because we know, historically we know about his sons. But there's a lot of contradictory evidence about what happens to them. And they turn up in different sagas, and their endings are different. And actually, you can imagine that a lot of fathers got killed, Viking fathers, and their sons, the mothers would then go to Ragnar and ask for the sons to be adopted by Ragnar. So there are lots of, Ragnar had many, as far as we know, dozens of adopted sons, because being a son of Ragnar was the biggest calling card in the Viking world. So I like playing around with the possibilities. Some people say that Ivar was killed in a battle in the Midlands in England, and they're trying even now to dig up a couple of new graves they found in the Midlands. But other people do say there are, it's written in one of the sagas that he died in Ireland. So yeah, we'll get there eventually.
Great. This will be the last question, and then we have a great trailer for you guys. Hi, my name is Yurgan.
My question is for everyone. If you could step into the Vikings universe, how would you react to meeting your character, and how do you think your character would react to meeting you?
I'd be scared.
Oh wow, that's a good question. Well, you know that there was a site, like we can talk a little bit more about this, that they dug up, a real site that I actually went to visit, where you can probably add to this, where it was a burial site which for many years they thought it must have been someone with high importance that was buried in such a prestigious way with 2 horse heads and different shields, and for many years they're like...
Quintessential Viking, sorry.
Yes.
The quintessential Viking warrior.
Viking warrior, is it in Scotland?
Yes.
Sweden?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and what they found out for many years, they thought this must have been a king, warrior, but after just recently, they just discovered by doing different DNA tests from the hip, actually, it's one way of discovering it, that it was actually a female warrior. And I remember being there and holding the bones to this incredible queen, warrior, Viking, and I was thinking, well, what if I'm holding the bones of the real Agatha? But it actually just validated everything that Michael has written from season 1 of the Shield Maidens did exist. Because even when we first started, I had constant press telling me, well, they didn't really exist, this is a made-up character, but it's finally now, the world knows, and we proved them wrong that Shield Maidens.
What's going to happen in the future. You all met the seer on your way in, some of you, but we have a little more specific information for you, and what Katheryn says is true. There's a lot more female badassery coming up. So we are going to take a look into the future at the trailer for the second half of season 5.